we are trying to say is marketing or performance marketing itself is a system. But the beauty of this is your foundation digital audit. Because as marketers who are rooted in data, we know
what you're making is validating the persona with ideal customer. Welcome to Performance Spot by APIDM. So this is a series of videos we're gonna talk about performance marketing, depend on different seasonalities, different things that's coming around, what are the things that a performance marketer needs to do, what are the digital marketers needs to do, from measurements to lead strategies to everything in and out, A to Z about performance marketing. Within last week, we always look around on the new updates that we see on the last week we come across. So one of the updates that came around is Bing Webmaster Tools officially adds AI performance report. It's going to be insights including total citations, average citated pages, grounding queries, page level citations, activities and visibility trend. Overall, it's going to give visibility of how your brand is getting recognized or getting visibility on certain LLMs like ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Bing AI summaries, and selected partners. That's what I said. Few LLMs gonna be getting the informations. It's gonna show which URLs are citated, which queries triggers those citations. The disadvantage is it's not gonna give you number of clicks have been happened. Okay. So it is like giving you information, but not the one that most of us wanted. So it's gonna be a update that something they wanted to release on before Google search console. Actually. So they wanted to move fast. Each and every AI updates, if you're looking at, to overcome some other competitors, right? So I'm looking at on that way only this update. Say I don't see a value. I think you can use different tools like the market tools to get the citation detail. Yes. Beyond that, what is they are giving is bit of queries that have been appearing these details. Beyond that, I don't see a value on it. But this race is going on. I think when Google Search Console coming out with AI visibility or something, I assume it's gonna call as AI visibility or AI queries or AI something. Oh,
and brand citations or so on.
Something. So that's gonna be huger than this. Normally that's happening on the race, right?
Yeah.
This LLM ChatGPT or something coming up, but when Gemini comes out, it's a huge impact that's coming out. So I expect the same here. That race is going on. Anything that you would like to add on the industry that you have seen on new updates?
So recently they have announced that TikTok is going to have like a local feed. It's actually going to be competition, so-called competition for Google Maps. So they will have a local feed tab in your feed itself, so you can actually figure out who are the brands, businesses or events or even content creators near you, because TikTok anyway has been, initially it was always an entertainment platform, right? Then it turned into a search engine platform, mainly for Gen Z, but now even millennials and Gen Alphas are using. With this new update, TikTok might be, rather than like a for you type of a platform, to near you type of a platform. So everything is in one place. So it's competing Yelp and even Google Maps and Instagram Maps. But the difference is it's consolidated. You are anyway in TikTok. So this added feature might be beneficial for users who are on the go, because they're anyway searching for something to shop, eat, something near. This could be a beneficial thing. In terms of how this is going to be rolled out to paid campaign performance, is something we are yet to see, because it's only been rolled out to US.
Okay, right. Yeah. So it's going to be local listings going to be come out. Okay. Yes. I mean, when you said about it's going to be millennials, beyond that, I'm even searching for certain things. I was about to do a cake or something, like couple of months back or 6 months back, I would go to YouTube. But right now I felt, okay, rather than dragging a 30 minutes video, if a TikTok can come in 30 seconds or 45 seconds, even 60 seconds, that would easy for me. I just wanted to know ingredients and number of how the order needs to be, then how many minutes it needs to be baked. So like there was a video I found, it's perfectly 5 second, 5 second, 5 second, 45 to 60 second. How to make a simple cake is given in a recipe. So yeah,
And I
good.
think, that's how I think YouTube Shorts were also introduced, but TikTok algorithm is far better. So
Okay.
they know about us. So
Right.
it's easy for us to consume content, and it actually knows about us.
Right.
So I think that's why even if you look into some of the demographics data between like even users in Malaysia and Singapore as well, back then they will say, okay, the Google search as YouTube, it's similar to what you're saying, but now it's always TikTok, not even YouTube Shorts sometimes, it's just
Right.
TikTok always.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't go for an introduction of you. If you don't mind, give a small
Sure,
introduction.
sure. So my name is Shahrana Fazal. I'm the associate director at Enfection. So I have been working here in the industry for 10 years now, and over this decade, I was actually fortunate to work with a lot of regional and global clients in tech, FMCG, mostly B2B, pharma clients, banking and finance, and so on. My background is in applied psychology, so whatever decision we make in terms of performance marketing, marketing strategy, go-to-market strategy, even communication or positioning strategy is rooted in those human behavior, because that's a new algorithm that we need to know.
Right. Thank you very much. I was interested about coming into the topic, and we went to the new updates. That's what I didn't able to introduce. Thank you for that. Welcome, and it was pleasure to having you in the series of videos.
And thank you for inviting me, actually.
Right. So we will having like on a monthly basis, we will have one guest coming in. We will like to have you again for another couple of sessions as well.
Hopefully.
Today, let's I was interested about one of the on our advanced performance marketing and analytics module or the course. You were doing a guest lecturing. I was very interested. I was very attracted with the framework or strategy what you have put it up on performance marketing. How I would say that needs to be taken into all the performance marketing in the market. They need to follow that, because it's really a good framework that would from start to end it is really structured. Let's discuss on that.
Sure.
Just take on from us from the start. I'll chip in from whatever I need to come in.
Sure, sure. So back then what happened was, whenever you go to a marketer, you will just tell them, okay, I have this budget, run this campaign.
Right.
And what the performance marketer or the digital marketer does is, okay, fine, these are the platforms out there, these are the platforms I know about, let me just run the campaigns.
Right.
Or some might even say, okay, I'll do a forecast and run the campaign. But what we are trying to say is, marketing or performance marketing itself is a system.
Right.
It's not one thing or one size fit for all. You
Right.
need to have a structure, you need to have a foundation. So that's what we call this as a go-to-market strategy blueprint per se.
Right.
So whenever a client comes to us and says this is the budget they have
Right.
and this is what they want to achieve,
Right.
we just tell them to pause.
Right.
Let's just go through and figure out what our objectives are. Whom are we talking to? What are like the measurable outcomes you're expecting from these campaigns?
Right.
So because of that, the foundation that we have layered is, you go from a digital audit, and then based on the digital audit and insight, you actually frame your communication strategy.
Right. Understood.
And then based on your communication strategy, where you have your communication concept, your key visual or your tagline, then you move into a positioning strategy. That is where you actually figure out what are the platforms that you need to actually place your ads, and then you have your media plan based on the whole PSO model, and then you have the campaign rollout.
Right.
But the beauty of this is your foundation digital audit. Because as marketers who is rooted in data, we know data is just dumb data without insight.
Right.
So what we try to do even this digital audit, we try to break it down. Because digital audit is where we try to understand the real human problems. Not something what you have heard about from the client, not something that you have based on your assumptions or intuition.
Right.
We back it using data science and behavioral psychology. So even that digital audit, it has multiple scenarios. One thing we look into is the intent. because that is your low-hanging fruit. What are people searching for?
Searching for, okay.
Back then, it's always Google that we go for, but now we also look for TikTok because that itself is evolving into a search engine platform.
Right.
So we try to figure out what are people searching for, what are their intent, what services, like how, what, when. Those were something that Google has taught us.
Right.
So we try to look in for those, but not just stop in these short-term keywords.
Okay, for looking for a
long-term searches as well, because that is where AI overview and even LLM-based AEOG also comes into play, right? So intent is one thing that we look into.
Okay.
And then we go into sentiment, the social chatters.
Okay.
Because intent is something that we use based on long tail or short-term keywords. But sentiments, what are people actually talking about?
Right.
Because sometimes when they are frustrated, they actually vent it out using comments or the content itself, and not just in TikTok or your social media platforms. Reddit, Quora, Google Maps, Google Reviews, and even Glassdoor. We try to understand what are the positive sentiments, negative, the frustration, pain points, what are they looking for? What does success or motivation looks for them? So that's the second thing that we look into. But there are other things that we also look into, like your brand personality audit. How do people perceive you from a personality, and how do you want to perceive yourself? That's from a brand point of view. But we also go into your traditional competitor analysis, but here we look into the content pillars. And how well are you performing compared to your competitors, not just by overlooking content, but in terms of your website traffic, your organic traction, your social media engagement side of things. And then you go into a website audit, because UI UX is very important when you run campaigns. So we actually go through your website, because if it's a conversion specific, if it's your main conversion window, we go through that as well. So based on all of these insights, we actually come to a conclusion in terms of what are the pain points, where are we strong at in terms of our positioning, and how do we position ourselves in the market. That actually guides our communication strategy. I'll maybe give you an example. For Singapore, there was a educational client. So they were actually talking to primary and secondary students. So they just told us, hey guys, we need to run a 6-month campaign. This is a budget we have. Just come up with a communication strategy. But you can't just come up with a communication strategy, right? You still can, but if you want it to be very rooted in insights and data, it's going to last long, because you're talking what people are talking to you. You're talking in their language, right? In their lingos. So when we did the whole audit, what we figured out was parents are not just looking for an educational institute for their kids, mainly in Singapore, because it's a competitive market. You call them tiger moms. It's something similar to scholarships here. It's competitive, right? We always say it's a parent's battle rather than a children's battle. So similarly, because it's a very tight-knitted community, very competitive community, they call their parents like tiger moms. What we figured out was, we thought, okay, they will be still looking for academic qualification, provider that can give that. But the trend has changed now. They're actually looking for an institute or a partner or a provider that actually gives the best of both worlds, like academic qualification and future-proof skills like critical thinking, AI, coding, communication, decision-making skills. That was something we figured out from our audit that we did. And that actually transformed into the whole campaign plan that we want to, messaging. And when we also look into different platforms had different communication the way that they communicate. Like TikTok was more exploratory, inspirational. And other platforms like Reddit and Quora, they were evaluating things. They just need credibility. So this actually framed us of a communication strategy and even positioning. Like, where should we put our budget on? Is it TikTok mostly and Reddit or Quora, or even like Meta? Where are they at? What type of lingos are they talking? So that actually framed our whole strategy in terms of what could work for them.
If I take it, what you have put said now in a simple terminology, what I in a technical background, on a performance background, how I wanted to frame it is by doing an audit, by understanding different things like search to behaviors on the channels to, let's say, website audits. Everything what you are framing up is the people who I wanted to target. What you are putting up, how can I put it in simple word, is beyond demographics, you are bringing the things that a consumer will, or that the business people who gonna use or buy. I have always say ideal customer profile and persona. They have small line of differentiation. So what you are making is um, validating the persona with ideal customer profile who's ready to buy, right, with the intent, with the behaviors and all. So what happened in performance marketing, what we always, as you started, budget is there, we put it on a channel, we never think about, okay, we just imagine, as you said, if it is comes to a normal performance marketer who's not understanding this, what would happen is, in Singapore, immediately they will go and find out what the channels being used most, and then they will say, okay, we'll put $5,000 for a month, and they will run for lead generation. This is what gonna happen. Then you will get 1,000 leads or 5,000 leads. Out of that, 20-30 will convert. Maybe sometimes that institute will be happy, but what you are doing right now is you are building up a journey, understanding what the target persona needed. It's not the student who's going to make a decision, it's about the parents going to make a decision. Like, I like the way that it have been framed, the personas and the ideal customer profile. Then from here, like once you done the audit, then the drafting of the messaging, right? So what you are doing right now is bringing up the pain points and drafting the messaging. Any critical or anything that beyond that, you can bring an example that you have done on a point of, let's say, on messaging, how this persona or the audit have helped. Say one example you said about this on the point of messaging. Say now we have A/B testings, etc., different things, right? So I wanted to see something that you can bring to the table, like on the messaging, how you have helped, how this audit have helped.
Sure. Like you correctly said, we are actually going beyond the whole demographics into a very psychological and behavioral insight, and not just about the platform, but in terms of identifying the user journey as well. Because it's in the messy middle now, right? One example I can tell you also is there was this accounting body that we were working. They were actually providing dual qualification in Australia and in New Zealand and Malaysia as well. So we also did an audit for them. What we figured out was, from the whole intent, sentiments, social chatters we did, and their even own data from what they have collected in surveys and events that they do, we figured out that people or the students, their target profile was accounting students and also accounting qualified professionals. They were not confused about the qualifications they were providing. They were rather confused about their future. They were not sure about the outcome, what is their career path, because searches in Reddit and Quora was like accounting versus data science. Which one will give me a good career path in the next 5 years? Where can I earn the highest salary? Which one will have the highest chance for me to migrate abroad? So based on this, we actually frame the whole communication to your, I can't exactly remember it was create your tomorrow. So we didn't just say, come, we are providing something functional. We just told them, okay, create your tomorrow, because they are looking for a brighter future. Brighter future, not just in terms of qualification, for them to actually go from where they're currently employed to a big four company, because it was something huge. It's something that you carry as pride in Malaysia, and in salary. So that actually framed us in terms of communication, create your tomorrow. And that version of that, we have different iterations of that worked. But we didn't just stick to that one framework. Based on that and based on the analysis we had, like the TikTok sentiments, Reddit, Quora, Glassdoor, and so whatsoever, we actually broke it down to different platforms as well.
Okay.
TikTok, even though the main messaging was created tomorrow, the whole communication was in line with some of the queries that we figured out.
Right.
And LinkedIn had very no jargons, straight to the point.
Straight to the point. Okay.
Meta, it was more into engagement and awareness-based content for someone exploring. So even that, we had a framework, and based on the insights that we gathered for each platform, we had a different communication framework as well. And we have noticed significant increase in awareness, brand recall lift, and conversion based on the results they had shared with us before as well.
Okay.
Some of them were Vanity metrics, but we have also seen progress in terms of the downstream metrics, not just upstream.
Sure. Okay. So when you're talking about this messaging part, I was remembering one of the client that I was working around with the messaging. So I was working with the apartment seller, like the apartment in Colombo. So we figured out a persona or the target persona by, as you say, we were looking at different personas. One of the personas is the parents, newly born child, like new parents, right? So we were in a point of, we were in a idea of they will buy because that apartment is nearby government schools that is being there. So that radius problem for like for getting the school, that is one of the pain points. We framed it, right? So we started messaging saying, okay, here, parents, for your future of your child, for school admission, you buy an apartment, this is like this kilometer. But we were not getting that much leads as we expected, right? So we did some calculation and checked with few hospitals as well, but we didn't get that much. So we were looking at people who visited hospitals, those kind of targeting we were trying, right? So later on we figured out, rather than that angle, get for school admission, buy an apartment, the other point of like your kids can walk to school, less traffic, these were started picking up because our pain points position was different. We thought, okay, people will look for houses to buy, get admission, but the real parents or the persona that we framed out were looking at a pain point of their children need to be comfortably traveling, less traffic, quickly can be dropped, pick up, their mates can come and pick up them, kind of an approach is working very closely. Less time of being on the road, these kind of, we did an AI video, even being on a red light, like signal light in the car, husband and wife sitting together and discussing about time. So that advent and brought up more leads for us. So that's on the messaging side. I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, because that's very valid. A lot of brands, what they actually do is they try to be functional. But what we are forgetting that is we are also human. While pain point is there, but how do we communicate?
Yeah.
That is where the emotional trigger and the relevance comes into play. When you were telling me that case study, I just remembered a lot of airlines. Until recently, they always talk about the functional benefits for you.
Okay.
They actually tell you, okay, you have comfortable seat, good hospitality, good food, you have all entertainment.
Right.
But what we're forgetting is, why are we traveling as expats or foreigners or someone who is looking for a destination for a holiday rather than the whole business class users? We are looking towards the destination.
Right.
So you rather should talk about your destination rather than the functionality of the mode that you're traveling.
Okay.
So you actually create a hype about the destination and plug in your functionalities.
Right. Understood.
It's the same pain point, but you tweak the messaging. It's a hierarchy of messaging to make it relevant.
Okay.
You give the wowness of the location first, and then you plug in the functionality.
Right.
It's a different psyche. The pain points can be the same, but in my experience, it's always about how we frame it.
Right,
And is it
understood.
platform agnostic?
Okay.
And if you're talking to parents, that what's that trigger or the hook, the
Okay.
emotional relevance we
Okay.
need to bring out.
Okay. So on the travel, what you are saying is, let's say airline that is targeting Sri Lankan inbound from around the world, rather than talking about luggages to space for the leg room to check-in, online check-in, they should talk about inbound facilities and features of Sri Lanka connecting with traveling luxury.
It's a double-edged sword. It's about framing. You frame the destination first, then you put out your USPs.
Okay, right.
Rather than just plugging in, hey, come join us because we have this much of legroom space and check in. Because if you look into your competitors, they might have the same USPs.
Right.
Unless you have something very special.
Yeah.
If you have something very different, then it's okay to go about and make notes about it.
Key differentiator.
Exactly. If not, it's humans, right?
Yeah.
We just scroll through and make decisions very fast.
They will check at the time. They will check 4 airlines to come down to Sri Lanka, right? So it's gonna be okay. So we come to a level of pain point to messaging. What would be the next step that we have to take on?
So once we have the messaging, anyway, it's again going back to the rooted go-to-market strategy. So based on the digital audit we did, we would have figured out, okay, based on where is our audience consuming content, or where are they chatting mostly about. Based on that, and we also do we check the potential audience size per platform and the objectives available. So based on some of the insights from your digital audit and the messaging pillars you have, then you do the whole forecasting for your campaign.
Right.
Based on your existing experience, based on your digital audit, and based on the objective or the business goal that you need to achieve.
Okay.
That's what we usually do in terms of positioning strategy or a paid media campaign plan.
Right.
And from that, you can dissect into what's your paid strategy, your earned strategy, your owned and shared strategy as well.
So one of the things when you talk about forecast, I used to this questions more time when I do lectures, when I do workshops or wherever. What is the benchmark, right? So last week I was doing a lecture. I got a question. What is the best ROAS for Sri Lankan market for industries? I was like,
very common question.
Bro, it's I can't tell something like that. It's gonna be very based on lot of things. So for that forecast, I would like to add few things. One of the things that I use is I always look at the historical data and forecast, or I go for, like as you said, research data, and based on the KPIs I go for it. And then otherwise I go for international research document, and based on that industry, let's take an apartments or airline industry or education, I take the general of it. And then one of the other things is, right now most of the performance marketers is over promise also. They
Exactly.
So have to be very careful. I always say, you either say that this is the benchmark that is in the industry, I will able to achieve 20% lesser or 20% higher. I can't immediately go exactly, or I can't go 20% higher immediately. I used to always say it as a iteration circle that you go for. We'll come to the optimization later. So this is how I put this forecasting, because it's a very hard with the client, with the reporting line that you are working. I work with different CEOs and all. So they're all behind the money, right? So if I'm spending $1,000, how much Jathu you gonna bring it up? How many leads? How many leads gonna convert? When I say, okay, you can make it $5,000, okay, you say five leads, right? So this is always happen, and then end of the month it will be 2 leads only will be converted. So and then, as always know, like the time lag, say the other 3 leads might get convert after next month.
Actually.
So those are the things that beyond the forecast, a performance marketer needs to consider when thinking about it.
Actually, that's a very valid point. What we also do is very similar approach. If it's an existing client, we actually take historical data, or if not, if we have similar clients in the same industry, we take that as an benchmark.
Right.
If not, we actually give a range.
Okay.
And if not, the last thing what we usually recommend to my team as well is that let's run this for 2 months, let's
Yeah.
do an A/B testing, and then let's set the
Yeah.
benchmark. That's how we did this whole pilot campaign for this. Previously, I was talking about the Australian New
Australian
Zealand
education.
qualification body. We did a pilot campaign.
Okay.
We didn't actually give a forecast, and because it was a global client, they were open for that idea. So we ran the pilot campaign, and all the forecast after that subsequently was based on historical data, but it changed based on the optimization or the platform we used. So whatever that you mentioned is, yes, that's actually what all the performance marketers should also follow.
So one of the good point is this pilot or the testing. Different terminologies, but I believe in that lot, because that's the data that's gonna be feed me lot, like.
Exactly.
And then have to have the patience to get collectors.
That's a keyword, yeah.
Normally that you said the 2 months, that 60 days bracket is the best to gather data and then analyze, and then beyond that making a forecast. I used to do some friends companies and all, I work with them. So what I do is I say don't pay me for 60 days. Okay, you run on the budget, I will run for you. Then once you are happy with it after 60 days, I'll tell you this can be made. Then you pay me. Right? You pay me for I don't do for the first 2 months, also need to be paid after that. But it's
Very generous.
Yeah. So if say this is what the performance marketers in currently able to make the challenge. I will do it 2 months free. I will make you this result. I will continue to improve what I did on, say, for an example, cost per purchase, e-commerce site, something comes in, cost per purchase is around $30. I will guarantee I won't go beyond 30. I will make sure to 28, 29, 27, like that down the months. Not immediately next month I will make it to $20. I will make it to some. So that I used to do, because very hard to keep the client, very hard to get clients on performance marketing, because right now most of the people are going in-house also, right? Yeah. So then the forecasting, after that, what the step that you wanted to take or go for?
After forecasting, it's about launching your campaign and testing. It's
based on the channels that you have.
Yeah, so once we execute the campaign, it's not about just you launching and then sitting and waiting until some miracle happens in terms of generating leads. So we always optimize. We always monitor first. Before we scale it, we figure out, are there any friction points? Are people not convinced enough? Because every decision that is made, like every metric or a click or impression, is a human decision. So we monitor it, we optimize it based on that, from a platform point of view, from a creative messaging point of view, or even UI UX. Because most of the things that we figure out is, a lot of people are concerned about upstream, but that is also changing in terms of your top of the funnel metrics. But they are forgetting the whole downstream metrics that is actually needed for them. Some even beyond cost per lead, it's actually cost per enrollment, cost per application, cost per doctor visit. So we monitor them and figure out whether there's any friction points. And based on those friction points, we optimize the campaigns, and UI UX fixes, creative changing, and even creative targeting is changing, right? Creative is your new targeting with your Meta, Andromeda updates, algorithm updates. That's the new testing, rather than you having like different ad sets with different audience targeting. You have different creatives, so you put it out, and if it's not performing, you know that messaging is not working. So that is where optimization comes into play.
Right. On the optimization, right, just a funny thing that I would like to add is, what happens is, one is over optimizing or quick optimizing. So what happens is, everyone expect results next day. When you start the campaign, next day they need 20 purchases, right? So they go and they set it up, and they go and change things on daily basis. And that is one mistake of optimizing. Another one is, they set it up, they forget totally, and then come back after a month and look at the campaign, nothing has happened. So that is on the optimization. Each platform have its own learning period. So Meta, if you take it 7 days, Google it's 14 days. I think TikTok is also on 7 days attributions. So we need to make sure that learning periods are exiting. Based on that learning period, I would I would like to take your point, like looking on the frictions, looking on the click-through rates, looking on the creative messagings, looking on the landing pages, etc. and all. And then one of the other things I used to always say, I think on one of our episodes also we were discussing about it. We sometimes look in an overall optimization. Say what happens is you have a creative, right? One creative or three creatives, and then let's say three creatives, and out of those three creatives you have two creatives that is the click-through rate is 0.1 percentage, right? And the other one is, the third one is like 2 percentage or something. So it happened to me on a client meeting. So the client was like, okay Jathu, this is the last one is working, why don't we stop other two, because those two are spending money, this is what you do it on performance marketing. I was like, hold on, we just wanted to see detail or granular data. And then when I did this, I segment them by age, I segment by device, I segment by region, cities. Then when I looked at is, it's not the whole the age range is going on 0.01 click-through rates. The out of 5 age range, 4 is only going on 0. The lesser numbers. One is on almost 20-30%. So that kind of
Insights.
optimizations needs to be happen on a performance marketing. Otherwise, we make a blind call, right? So if we could have off that age group is interested, or that age group is, that pain point is covered there. So they were interested on that format, on that channel, that age group is working. So then I did is, okay, let's exclude these guys out from these campaigns. Then the work started
Yeah,
working.
you shouldn't always take blanket approach. Even in
Yeah.
terms of creatives, you segment it. And how I also see is like back then, if it's mainly B2B, we segment it and we have different ad sets with different criteria. And if it's B2C, and if you're not working in a very regulated industry or a client, it's okay for the platform to be given the freedom, because the algorithm is changing. So the algorithm itself is optimizing your creative based on that.
Yeah.
And like you said, even the creatives, just like how you segmented it by age, the single creative should not go on all platforms,
Yeah.
because then it will definitely not work.
Yeah.
And when a creative is not working, we actually have to figure out, is the messaging wrong, is the audience wrong,
Yeah.
or the budget allocated or the objective for that itself
Sets
is
of
wrong. So we have to go into granular level. And yeah, a lot of marketers, what they do is they just
see it and
blanket, and
overview.
yeah, they don't look into the whole learning period, or there's an ad fatigue. And the difference I see with regional and some of the global clients is, sometimes they actually give us the liberty to make the call, and they also have that patience. They don't just look into leads, but they actually look into the lifetime value.
Values. Yeah.
And there was similar example, like LinkedIn for us was expensive. That was giving us limited leads from a platform optimization point of view.
Okay.
But Facebook cost per lead was very low, was giving high number of leads for us.
Right.
But end of the day, if you actually look into enrollment,
Yeah.
the lifetime value was higher in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So that's why you shouldn't be fooled with the numbers that you achieve
Yeah.
in the get-go. There's
Yeah.
always a play there.
Right. That's a very valid point. Like, I mean, very rarely businesses look on customer lifetime value. What they look is CPA and ROS. I hate that ROS word in my entire career right now, because I can see a lot of people talk about ROS. On one is ROS. If you look at ROS, actually there are places when you look, ROS will be $1 use for the every dollar you spend, you get $10. But if you go back to the business CFO or the financial guy, he will say my profit is minus, because that's how the business works. So as a performance marketer, we need to look on that. That is one on that. Another one, the CPA, cost per acquisition, or cost per lead, or cost per purchase. Sometimes it will be $500 for a purchase to happen. But if you look at, say, I would say supermarket chain or something, if you can bring a user for even for 10,000 rupees, let's take a 10,000 rupees or $100, if you look at that person's, if you can properly first use the first party data, automations and all, that lifetime value can be increased. When he purchasing again, every month 25th he is purchasing. So let's push a message saying there's a offers on 25th because his salary is coming. So if you can make that $100 is nothing.
Exactly.
If you can make him to buy throughout the year, every month on 20th or 25th or 28th, that lifetime value. So those are the things on the optimization needs to be looked at.
Because optimization is actually key. I can actually go on with examples.
Yeah.
But optimization key, and we shouldn't be taking blanket approaches.
Right. Okay.
That's a key thing, because every decision that you make, you should figure out your friction points. Then you scale it.
Okay.
It's not about if something is working, you don't just immediately increase budget.
Yeah.
You figure out what's happening.
Right.
That's how we should.
Yeah, the increased budget is another one. If this campaign is working, let's put the budget to that.
Yeah.
That also happens, right? So
I think that is where sometimes the client also needs to have like an open mindset. Okay, we have a bit of budget. Okay, this is a platform that's working. Let's put a bit more budget in addition to that. But they should also be open to test out new platforms.
Right.
For example, in B2B itself, we used to handle a very larger manufacturing client.
Okay.
They were actually, initially all they knew was, okay, Google search, Meta, and LinkedIn. That's it.
Right.
But we told them, if Google search is working, which is intent based, let's actually try Bing as well, because a lot of corporates today use Microsoft Edge. That is where Bing comes into play. It was just a testing platform.
Yeah.
It really worked.
Right. On this approach, how I would like to put it out is, how I plan this is, I always keep 80%. So when someone gives me a budget, I always keep the 80% for my plan. What are the channels, what are the budgets going on? 20% I keep it outside. One is for testing new platform, one is for testing new updates. Let's say suddenly Google comes up and say IMX gonna have a URL targeting or something, then I wanted to test that. So I can't go and touch on the one that is working, because if that touched, everything will get messed up or something. Then I test it on another channel and another budget that separately I have it as 20%, and then if it works, I apply it to this one. So that's 80-20 rule. I always keep it on my mind.
That's actually very good. I think, but I think what marketers today should know is that everything actually, it's a loop, right?
Yeah.
From your whole go-to-market strategy to actually you launching, monitoring, optimizing. There's always a blend between creativity, technology, and AI coming into play now. Even like Meta introduced this acquisition about Manus. So it itself is an autonomous agent, right? So your life can be easy, but it's not that time you can use it for more optimization, more scaling. And with AI tools out there, you can create visuals, because that is your new targeting. So the work is getting seamless, and there are tools out there performance marketers can use for something that can bring actual business results.
Right.
And I think for clients, we now need to go beyond vanity metrics, and they also should know the whole lifetime value of what we're bringing. Because we also don't want to have a platform which has the highest cost per lead or lowest ROAS, right? But there's always, it's a journey. It's a loop.
It's the businesses needs to understand, rather than these vanity matrices, profit, customer lifetime value, again connecting to profit. Overall, what they should look is profit, rather than these numbers.
It's very tricky situation and a double-edged sword.
And then businesses on a performance marketing side, we will also able to explain them the correlations between, say, we run a brand awareness campaign, that correlates to the conversions that is happening. Lifetime value is coming. So that correlation, you were talking about brand lift, incrementality, this measurement under the optimization. The measurement is another session that needs to be looked out. We miss that part. What is happening is down the line with this zero click, privacy controls and all those things, we're gonna have attribution is gonna be dead. On certain things only attributions can be measured, right? And then the platforms are gonna take most attribution. So we have to go beyond attribution, like M marketing mix modelings, incrementality testing, and all those things need to come into play, right? So we overall what we looked at is a framework from auditing, uh, positioning, then
Yeah, and then so we have the audit, then we have the whole communication strategy and the positioning strategy and whole campaign planning, the whole campaign rollout plan. One main thing, lastly, that I would like to say is there's always a debate between is a funnel dead?
okay.
Yeah, so I think the funnel is still there in terms of a platform's algorithm and optimization.
Yeah.
The measurement is still there. It's a behavior that has changed
Right.
because consumers don't move from step by step, but it's a loop. You read something, you pause, you see something. That's where there are a lot of other models like BCG's 4S model in terms of streaming, searching, scrolling, and shopping, and even your HubSpot's flywheel model and Google's messy middle itself.
Yeah.
That is why the whole your audit itself is important because it's a behavior that you're trying to analyze and optimize your campaigns. And optimize itself is not just because of a metric. Optimize your campaign based on human insights that you're getting, the behavioral insights that you're getting.
Right.
So that's something I wanted to explain because while you have the funnel as a measurement metrics, why an audit or a framework is important is for us to figure out the whole insights beyond demographics in terms of psychography, where you use behavioral psychology and data science into play.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that. Funnel is not anymore dead. So I would like to have a deeper discussion on that because it's that going around. I think a couple of weeks back also I did a research on that. What's happening, what's changing, what you're connected. We will have a session on that surely because that is most important one. Everyone is coming up with different terminologies, streams, 4S, messy middle, different things, right? So we will probably have another session on funnel is dead or not, or some other topic. We'll come up with nicely catchy topic. Thank you for joining with us and sharing valuable insights. More that. So.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for watching Performance Spot by APIDM. We'll catch up on another episode.